Hey there, guys. This is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tosca, and this is the 31st episode of the Wheneverly Update, and it's also been a really, really long time. Yeah, I usually don't have these spaced out as long as I usually do. Usually within several weeks, I feel like. The thing is, my computer started to die. It was relatively old anyway, and it wasn't even really that good to begin with. But so it died out. Motherboard. First, it started off. There was some graphics issues, like because it fell, and one of the little hinges thing to keep the monitor and the actual computer part, connected, broke. So at first it was fine, but then it kind of started to get bad. And then that got fixed, but then the motherboard started to die out, which was unfortunate. Thankfully, I was able to transfer everything and move it, so all's good. And I didn't lose anything. My main concern, to be perfectly honest, besides my stories and voice acting and all my music and whatnot, I wanted to make sure that I had all my days files and my Minecraft world, which I was able to save both of them. They were actually relatively close to each other, which I was a little surprised about. But, yeah, so everything's all good, and I can get back to doing my thing. For those who really care, it's a HP Pavilion G6. It has Windows 7. I haven't checked for the specs yet. I haven't copied down the specs just yet. I'll do that later. Generally, it's just an overall better computer. It's capable of more powerful videos. I think I'm able to watch 1080p without too much trouble. I was able to do that with my old one anyway. I can do PS2 emulation. I tried that out recently with Tales of the Abyss, and it actually worked really well. The only problem was the graphics were kind of weird, but I don't know if that's something I can fix or not. And to be perfectly honest, I just wanted to see if I could pull it off. I have no need for PS2 emulation, especially now that I've got my Dazzle, so I can record stuff, which I've had for a while. So yeah, I figured I'd give you guys a bit of an update on what I've been doing for the past several weeks, and I'll also let you know that as you saw, I can upload videos longer than 15 minutes, so my videos will be longer, and these kind of videos, they're really long to begin with, won't be cut up, which will be nice. So I feel like they'll be the real kind of update videos, because I notice a lot, there's the YouTubers that I watch tend to do pretty long videos, and it's I'll try and make it shorter. I'm like, nah, I don't make my stuff shorter. I cut them up so you can watch the entire thing. You just have to take your time. But now you won't have to do that. The Let's Plays will definitely be longer, especially because it's more about playing the game and not really trying to meet a time limit, and the commentaries will be more complete. The final thoughts will no longer be cut. My older videos that have been spliced into parts will still be spliced into parts. I don't want to go back and read it, but the newer stuff won't. So anyway, I guess we'll just talk about the anime that I've been watching. To start off with, the ongoing stuff we've been watching at Anime Club. First one's on Ohana. I think I've mentioned it to you guys before, but this time we're actually watching the full series, and we're also watching it on the NIS America DVD, because they licensed the series, which I think is kind of cool. And so I finally get a chance to kind of experience how they do their DVDs and just kind of how they do things. But sorry, I'm not cutting that out either. Decent show. Some people call it a big nostalgia trip. I personally don't, just because there's not enough nostalgia to it. There's really only one reference to the old Pokemon games. It's more about childhood memories and childhood friends than it is anything else. I don't want to talk too much about the plot. But because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who wants to watch it. It's not very long. It's only 12 episodes, so stuff gets revealed relatively quickly, I feel like. But it's a nice show. It really and there have been several episodes where it's kind of every episode. It's almost kind of like Angel Beats in a way, where every episode I feel like is kind of touching in some way. I'm expecting to sob a good bit. um, on the last episode, and I've kind of already spoiled like what Menma's wish is, but I mean it was a Wikipedia thing, so I feel like it's not really completely accurate anyway. So I'm just gonna kind of wait and see how it goes on in the show. But yeah, I'm expecting. I actually will be a little surprised if a handful of people aren't at least sad or wiping their eyes trying to hold back tears. I'm not expecting everyone to bawl, but if people are like not, of course, granted, you know, I don't know. But yeah, it's a good show. The other show we've been watching is Kokoro Connect, which is also on DVD. We're not watching it on DVD. I don't think they even know that it's on DVD. DVD. I wonder how many times I can say DVD in one sentence. Anyway, this one's not bad, but it's it's kind of interesting. The plot, I feel like, you know, because this one I will kind of talk about just because it's kind of weird, and I don't feel like it's not really heart wrenching either. I mean, there are some sad moments in it, but it's not really like. But essentially, the plot revolves around these high school students who get like this little thing where they what do you call it? Oh, they get a like a I don't know why I'm drawing a blank over this. This is not that hard of a subject. They start like switching bodies for some reason. It's random. The show kind of implies that it's to the fault of this other guy who is switching bodies with their teacher, who they call like Appleseed or something. But it's the show. I mean, it's kind of weird. And that was my phone that you just heard me drop. Sorry if you hear it vibrated, but if you hear it vibrate, I mean, anyway, it's because, you know, they're switching bodies. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Instead of trying to figure out what's going on, they're trying mostly to deal with it. And I think that's probably because they've been given the impression that they can't do anything about it. And, well, it goes away. They actually stop. And, you know, you could call that an opportunity to bring on more character development, but I also feel like they were doing it to make it easier because characters were switching. Granted, the show made it clear who was talking, and you have to watch it under the assumption that each episode they start off in their body, unless stated otherwise. But it's definitely something. Anyway, and also because there's this one character who she has kind of personality troubles anyway, so it'd be even more confusing because with her, I think her name's not Inaba. No, she's not Yui either. There's so many freaking characters. Oh my god. There's Taichi. There's the blonde dude who's kind of weird. Inaba, who's the tough silent girl. There's Yui, the blonde chick. And then there's the other girl who I actually kind of like. She's really peppy and happy, but she's got a lot kind of internally going on, which gets revealed. And there's probably more that she's probably not saying. But, you know. Anyway, it gets to the point where they're not switching bodies anymore, but they get like these aggressive like mood swings whenever their true desire comes out. Like with Inaba, you know, there's one thing with her and her obvious sexual desires. Yui doesn't like men. Like, she has a fear of men, and that kind of comes out. I think for the other girl I'm talking about, it's probably stress. Just with things in general. Like, because she kind of loses her temper a good bit. Or maybe it's trying to hold back anger. I don't want to give too much away. But, Taichi is essentially our Shiro. He wants to help and save everyone. And of course his desires like that kind of come out, so you know, it's not a bad series, but it's working off of a plot device of what's going on, why is this happening, and how can they stop it. That's my impression. I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's some sort of like friendship thing trying to go on, like I don't know, like you don't know who your friends are or something. I'm not really sure. It's an interesting kind of thing. But yeah, so I don't know if I'd recommend it, but it's not bad. I mean, if you want to watch something that's just kind of, you know, there, then give it a try. But next, we watched a movie called Paprika, which was made by Satoshi Kon, who did Perfect Blue, which I think we're going to be watching at some point. I hope so. Anyway, it's a pretty interesting movie. We watched it in Japanese, and it has Toru Furuya in it, which is pretty cool because he's Seiya and Yamcha. But it's a decent it was a decent movie. It's a lot about this like new thing where you can go into people's dreams, and this one chick can like has like this avatar for herself or something called Paprika or something. It's weird. It should be known that Toru Furuya plays a really fat guy. And I think in English he's voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. But you know, it was a decent movie, and I really liked the last scene because it kind of deals with like this who really is one of my favorite characters, the detective police guy, because he gets a lot of development. Like you learn kind of like what his problem is and like what he regrets. He comes to terms with it and he gets over it, and then like he discovers kind of more about himself, because they kind of they kind of do the whole thing where like your regrets are kind of hidden inside you, and sometimes they get kind of revealed once everything kind of comes full circle. But and the last scene I thought was really cool, for really good for his thing. I don't want to say what it is, but if you take a look at like who he is as a person, what his interests are, and you see that ending, you'll see what I mean. I just thought it was really cool personally. I think I'd recommend it. I still need to watch Perfect Blue though, because I never finished it. I was like near the end too. But anywho, another anime we've been kind of it's weird. Like I feel like it's going to become an ongoing, a nomination or a candidate for the ongoing next year, because it's actually really interesting. It's called Another, based on a horror novel, so it's a horror anime, and it's actually, it's got some deaths in it. The plot's kind of, it's almost like Kokoro Connect, but it doesn't really make too much sense. But it's weird because like people won't really talk about it. It's really interesting. There's apparently this. Essentially what happened was there's this curse that's going on where, I don't even explain, like if you see this one girl, it's like bad luck. I think that's it. Like, and it's bad luck and you'll die. And this one girl actually gets killed by, like, impaled by an umbrella. Which they should probably work on that a little bit. The umbrella people should probably learn to make their umbrellas less lethal, if you ask me. But it's so weird because like the main character tries to figure out what's going on, but no one wants to talk about it. It's like, if I was him, I'd be like, I'm trying to get an understanding of what's going on to help kind of figure out what my best course of action would be, and I can't do that if you guys won't tell me anything. I know it was a traumatic time, but goodness. I mean, it's a decent show, I think, It's, again, it's based off of a novel. It also has a manga form, and I think both the manga and the novel have been translated into English, like, officially. And I know Sentai licensed the series. I don't think it's out on DVD yet, so they're probably working on dubbing it, which is a good thing, I think. I feel like it's becoming easier to tell what Sentai is going to dub and what they're not going to dub. Because, like, they announce, like, a series, but then they don't release it, like, on DVD, at all. like Koihime Muzo, you know, it came out relatively quickly, so you could tell that wasn't going to get dubbed. Of course, maybe they didn't really want to. I think a dub would have been nice, but I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. It's a good series, I think. And I've got the entire series on DVD, which I really only got just because I didn't want Crunchyroll to take it down due to licensing. But yeah, so that's a good show. And we've actually, it's not an ongoing, but it's like it's there as like a backup, which I think is kind of funny. I don't know if they did that intentionally. They probably did, but yeah. So it's a weird show. I mean, it's a good show, but it's like Kokoro Connect. It's kind of hooking you in with this lack of knowledge of what's going on, which I feel like in another's case, it's a little more annoying because it's more of a lack of communication. Not even lack of not like bad communication, just a lack of it. Because he try, or more like failures at communication rather, because the protagonist tries to friggin' get, tries to get information, but like it's like, no, we don't want to talk about it. Oh, and really quick, going back to Ohana, I just want to note that Takahiro Sakurai's in it. I'm not even going to change the picture to Ohana. I'm just going to keep it on another, so it would make no sense. Granted, the protagonist probably could have been voiced by Takahiro Sakurai. Who's he voiced by? I'll have to check that out some other time. As far as the last of anime I've been watching, AJ and I still have been continuing watching the original Saint Seiya. We just got past the part where Seiya fights the possessed Ioria, and he gets unpossessed. It was kind of sad a little because, Cassios and whatnot. So that was a tad unfortunate, but whatever. The next guy we're going to be fighting is Virgo. We're actually on the last disc, so that's going to be unfortunate because AJ and I are going to have to unfortunately stop watching it, but I do have a way around that, even though I personally would prefer to continue watching the show. So hopefully, the funny thing is, a division of Sentai, who from what I can understand is just the new ADV films. It's really weird. Like, they're holding on to the license of Saint Seiya, Section 23, for some reason. Like, I think they're trying to figure something out with it. Discotek has licensed the movies, and granted, of course, Sentai keeps licensing all this stuff. I don't know. I would like to see the series continue dub, but I won't be upset if they don't dub it. But so we're gonna keep watching that and probably continue onward with other things. Now on to games. I guess the obvious thing to talk about would be Dark Souls Artorias of the Abyss DLC, which I've been playing. I got past the Sanctuary Guardian and Artorias, and I'm on the last bonfire I got to was the one in the dungeon right before the Chasm of the Abyss, so I'm almost done. Right now I'm just kind of trying to level up a few and upgrade a few weapons and items and equipment to use, like shields, because I want to have a good magic resistant shield. And of course, the patch from that was essentially additions from the PC version has been implemented. So lightning weapons have been extremely nerfed. So I don't even use my lightning sunlight straight sword anymore. I'm using the barbed straight sword plus 15, and as my offhand weapon, or as my extra weapon, I've got the Balder side sword, which from what I've seen is really good. It's a really good sword. I almost wish I had tried to get it from the beginning, but it's actually really good. I'm going to kind of keep it as a offhand because I feel like the barbed straight sword's probably stronger for now. I think they both have scaling. I'm still working on, doing my little trick of getting everyone leveled up, of getting the stats that I want to get. I have my main stats at 40, but I was going to get my other stats to, or the ones that I care about, to 30, which I think will help a lot. And once I'm done with the DLC, I'll probably just play the game casually from now on. Kind of like what I do with Demon Souls. Maybe get to New Game Plus 2. But then after that, I'll probably be done. Or at least sit on New Game Plus, like after unlocking the Kiln the First Flame. But yeah, that's a thing. If anyone wants to do any co-op or anything like that, let me know. You can like send me a message if you want and let me know where you want to be and let me know your soul level and I'll see if I can do it. I think I'm like 164 or something. I'm not entirely sure. Somewhere around there. I know I'm at least 160 something. Maybe even 150 something. No, I'm 160 something. 160 something. Also, I finally finished Star Ocean Second Evolution. If you've been keeping up with my blog, then you know kind of where I got stuck. I first got stuck where like you're preparing to fight the wise men or something, like you're getting training, like, hey, go to the fun city and get training. Okay, guess what? You can't leave. You can rest and you can continue to train, but you can't buy items, which I was a little nervous. Like, really? Why not just have that just to help the players prepare? Because you end up fighting two of the wise men, both of which in hindsight are fairly easy, I think. Or at least the first one's kind of easy because he packs a punch, but you can beat him and you can like wail on him. That's the thing about Star Ocean. Like, the game can be hard, but if you just spam moves, the game's like broken. Like, I just kept spamming Dragon Roar over and over. And then of course you got to the robot dude. Which is he was tough because he keeps petrifying you, but then I finally started doing a rock explosion. I just spammed that. He couldn't even move. Like, it was so fun. I was like, and then he finally died. Then I got to fought the other 10 wise men, the remaining of the 10 wise men. It didn't get hard until I got to Haniel and Michael. They were a bitch. Oh my goodness! Like, I was saying, am I gonna have to stop playing this game or something? Because I really wanted to finish it. I really wanted to finish it, and it was kind of annoying. And finally, I grinded enough to where I could beat him, and I got to like level 80 or something, and I leveled up more of my skills. And so I was able to beat him. Then Lucifer, he wasn't that hard at all. Like, I beat him in like the first try. Then came Gabriel, who, people say is the second hardest boss in the entire game if you take away his limiter. Which I don't know how to do that, and why would you want to? I can't remember if I did or not. I might have done that by mistake. But regardless, it took me a few tries. I grinded to like 95 and leveled up my teams, got their skills up. And then I was able to beat them within a few tries. It wasn't really too hard. I just spammed Dragon Roar over and over and over and over. In order to keep the action going, whenever I needed to use an item, I would switch to Reyna because she wasn't really doing anything. She would just literally sit there until one of us needed to be healed, or all of us if we needed it. So I beat it, and much like, from what I understand, Star Ocean First Departure, the game just kind of stops at like this, instead of like letting you save clear data. I can't remember though, because I do have a file on my folder in my computer called Star Ocean First Departure Clear Data. And I think I did that because in Star Ocean First Departure, you got to a point where you couldn't go back to the main, like, to the beginning, like, world. Where in Star Ocean Second Evolution, that happens, but they at least give you a chance to go back. And story-wise, it's alternate reality, but, gameplay-wise, it's essentially just going back to your place. I think that's kind of why they did that. And it gives you a chance to go to an optional dungeon, so there wasn't really any need to save any extra data. But, that's Star Ocean for you. Glad I finished it. Now I can finally move on to some other PSP games, because this one I've kind of been sitting on for a while. And the last game I'm going to talk about is Saint Seiya Sanctuary Battle for the PlayStation 3. Yep, I got it. I imported it from Europe, so it's in English. I feel like with Saint Seiya, I'm a little more reasonable with my importing, because usually with, the Tales games, it's like, oh, Japanese, I don't care. I just import it because, I love the Tales series, and I play it for the gameplay, not to mention the storylines for the majority of the Tales games are relatively the same, to be perfectly honest. They follow the same kind of tropes. It's really more about how the characters differ, which, you can't really tell through, because, Japanese, but I feel like we're going to start getting the Tales games more frequently in English. But I decided to import this game because I figured, if I wait too long, it'll either become too expensive or it'll go out of print, or I decided, it probably wasn't going to come out in English, like in North America, even though it's literally available in every other territory. Voices are in Japanese, but the texts are in English. It's kind of weird, though, because, with European games, they've got PAL, and so you have to have, like, a PAL TV or, like, some sort of, like, converter thing to do it, to play it effectively without having too much, like, cropping. And I've got a converter thing now, so I can play PAL games easier. However, with Saint Seiya Sanctuary Battle, I don't need it. Not to mention, they keep going back and forth between Ioria and Iolia. I think Iolia is the European translation, and Ioria is obviously the one from the uncut DVD that ADV dubbed. Which is kind of weird, but, and also words like valor and honor and probably color, they don't spell it with a U, they spell it with an O, which I found just weird. I was worried, like, was I given like the Japanese English version by mistake? I mean, the guy was selling it, who I bought it from, and I looked and, like, I checked it, and it was the European version. I guess it was made to be import friendly, or maybe PS3 games just don't have the problem of being don't have the issue of being, imported, because, the PS3 is region free, so you can play imported games on it. And I guess it kind of overrides the whole NTSC and PAL thing. I think it's mainly due to HDMI, but I wasn't playing it on HDMI, and even then it looked fine. But anywho, yeah, that's really all I have to say about things, to be perfectly honest. I have been voice acting in a Sims thing called Society High, where I just recorded my lines, actually, before recording this. I just did my lines for the first episode of the second season. I'll put a link to the entire, like, the playlist, so you can watch all the episodes. I was the replacement for the character Tristan, though, so the first few episodes, or first several rather, is actually a different guy, but even so, you should probably watch it just if you want to kind of keep up with it, or if you plan on watching it from season 2, because that's where I will, I am the official new voice of Tristan, but, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Other than that, I'm gonna do some more testing with this new computer to see if I'm gonna try and see if Visual Boy Advance will record more effectively with this one, because I was recording with an older computer, so that probably was part of it. But I want to see if it'll actually work better this time, and see how things work, because I might actually opt to record just using Visual Boy Advance, like my old, like I did with Legacy of Goku 1 and River City Ransom, when I do Legacy of Goku 2, which is my next Let's Play. And of course, by the time you're watching this, the Mega Man X8 commentary will be up. Concluding that part, I am going to do X1 through 3, but I'm going to do it later. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this long update that will no longer be cut. This is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tosuke, signing out. Trying to get to 30 minutes. Almost there. Yeah, and 5 more seconds. Bye.